We're doing the topic of Esha Yafat Toar. Okay, so it's a Perek Kaf Aleph, and it starts with Pasuk Yud, and it goes till Pasuk Yud Daleth. Yitzitzel lemelchama alevecha v'natznu Hashem elkecha beyadecha v'shavit shavio. V'reit b'shaviai Esha Yafat Toar v'chashacht ba v'lkachta l'cha leisha. V'abeta el toch b'techa v'gilcha et rasha v'asta et siperneha. Vasira et simot shavia malea v'yashva b'beitecha ubachta et aviha v'etima herech hamim v'achar ken tavo aleha v'alta v'ayta l'chalisha. Go out to war against your enemies, and like you win. Hashem like gives them to you in your hands, and you take their captives, and you see like in the captives a woman, a pretty woman, and you want to take her back to be your wife. And you bring her back to your house, and you shave her hair, and you do her nails, and you take her clothing, her captivity clothing from her, and you give her different clothing, and she stays in your house, and she cries, she like mourns her father and mother, not really mourns, she cries for them, for Yerei Chamim 30 days, and after that, you could go to her, sleep with her, and she'll be to you as a wife. Vaya imlo chafatzta ba v'shilachta lenafsha mechor lo timachrena v'kesef lo titamar ba tachar asher anita. And if like you don't want her, like you should send her away, but you can't like sell her for money or work, and you shouldn't make her work for anything after like you've humbled her and everything you've done to her.
The three questions that are important to think about when we were learning these psukim. The first question is that we have to ask, why is the Esha Yafat Toar doing all of this? Why does she have to cut her fingernails and shave her head and be isolated and take her clothes off and all that stuff? Like, why does she have to do that? The second question is, what does this imply? Does this imply that the Torah is endorsing intermarriage? Because she's clearly a captive, so therefore she's not Jewish. She's not Jewish. So why does the Torah say that if all these things happen and you still love her, you can get married to her?
So one of the big questions we asked was, why do we do all of these things to her, like shaving her hair, cutting her nails, changing her garments? So the main reason for this is to make her look ugly. Like you want to see if she's appealing to you, not just because of her looks, but like her personality and all of that. So it wants to make her look ugly on the outside, so like you actually know her, things like that. So there's a lot of mefarshim on this. Some of them say that like you shave her hair because like to see her face, like to see what she actually looks like, and then also you let her either. Some say you grow out her nails, and some say you cut them. But either way, it's like to make her look ugly. You want the outside appearance to be ugly. And then her dress, some say that it was a very comfortable dress and pretty dress because when they'd go out to war, their enemies would have the women wearing like really pretty dress and stuff like that to lead the men astray. And so they're taking her out of those garments and putting her into different ones, so you won't be attracted to her because of her clothing.
To answer our second question, which is talking about whether the Torah is actually implying that you're allowed to marry a non-Jew, which is forbidden, the article that we read covers this topic a little bit. So they asked the question, and it comes across the point that these psukim cover two ideals. The first ideal is actually not really to make it more unpleasant for the captive, but to make it more pleasant for the woman. So they do all these things out of like the pureness of their heart, rather than like to make the man not be attracted to her. So, for example, they change her clothes to make her feel more welcomed or stuff like that. So the intermarriage, they say, the article says that those two ideals, the halacha finds a balance between the two, and that's what the psukim are trying to translate. It's trying to find the balance between helping the captive and actually making it a point that we're not supposed to do intermarriage, and the Rambam in the Mishnah Torah makes a clear point that in the Moreh Nevuchim, he's talking about the captive and how we're supposed to make a metaphor, and the Rambam in the Mishnah Torah makes it clear that from these psukim we should learn that intermarriage is not okay, even in this case.
The idea of these psukim is to map out like what a person should do if this happens to them. Because during that time they were conquering a lot of different nations, and they took the captives, and so when that happened, there's bound to be a situation like this. So they were just saying, when this happens, if this happens, this is what you should do, and this is how you could do it halachically to make sure everything's okay, and that you don't make mistakes. It's also like a really like small detail. Like, who would have thought of this? Like, it's showing that like the Torah is thinking about everyone and seeing like what they could do to make sure everything they do is halachic and like they don't make mistakes. And it's really like looking out for everyone